Welcome to Disability Book Week Superstar Authors. I am your host, Kelly M. Likes. Let me set the stage. We are here today. I have my Aunt Judy's favorite sweater. I have got a yellow dress on. It's a big yellow flower with lots of black petals. I'm sitting in front of a bookshelf of all my favorite books. Over there, I've got a little dragon, and then I've got a little crocheted bee and a crocheted bunny. And we are sitting here today with superstar author Dr. Laura DeThorne, and she is wearing a dark forest green sweater. It's gorgeous. I see a beautiful tree in the background. She's got a smile on her face, gorgeous glasses. And I heard that she has got a Kim Possible. Oh, there it is. There it is. Peeking over there in the corner. So this is going to be an amazing interview. I'm super excited. So Laura, welcome.
Thank you, Kelly.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, that is the hardest question, I have to say. I usually start by telling people that I wear multiple hats when it comes to the topic of the children's book we're going to be talking about, neurodiversity. Um, I started my professional career as a speech language pathologist, and then I went back to school and transitioned into academia, and that's where I spent the majority of my career. But that's why I became really interested in how our brains work and how we communicate and experience the world differently. Those kinds of hidden differences that we often don't see right away. Right. But I often tell people that really the biggest education in my life came from being a parent. So I have two now grown sons, and they both identify as neurodivergent. And they really taught me more about much in this world than any formal degree ever could.
Awesome.
And yeah, and then I kind of wrapped up a lot of that knowledge into a current consulting business called Neurodiverse by Design. And the goal is to really work with community partners to support neurodiversity out in the world.
I love that. All right, so you gotta tell me a little bit about your book.
Oh, okay. So as I already alluded to, the book is called All Kinds of Brains, Autism and Neurodiversity. And this narrative really began quite some time ago. So back at the early 2000s, when one of my sons received his autism diagnosis, I was doing what many parents do and looking for books on the topic, primarily to help him and classmates and teachers understand. And autism books are often shelved in the library and the same section as other medicalized health conditions. So it's right there with diabetes and cancer and asthma. And often at the time, it's gotten better now, but most of the books showed very sad, lonely, isolated children on the cover. And that just wasn't our reality. And so that's when I decided we were going to write our own book. And it's been a long time in making. It wasn't until maybe a decade later that I discovered the artist that I wanted to illustrate the book. So Katie Kehrer was the right person 100%. Her passion is really not representing different bodies in all kinds of forms, visible and invisible, and you'll see that reflected in the book. So she was worth the wait. That's what I like.
So you gotta tell me a little bit about this process. You said 10 years. So what was the how did it start from thought in your brain to
Mm.
holding it in your hand? What was your process?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I people who know me, so I have an academic side, right, where I've really done a lot of academic writing, but this is my first and only picture book. But a lot of my writing has started in coffee shops on napkins
Nice.
or wherever I happen to be when an idea strikes me. So I probably started on a napkin. Um, but then really it ended up taking form. I would sometimes go into my son's classroom and lead classroom discussions about not specifically my son, because that really isn't my place, but to talk about differences in children's brains and to open that door for children to talk about it, think about it, be okay asking about it. And so then that narrative began to be reflected in written form and many, many drafts, right? So I also believe in giving yourself permission to just start writing. Um, a colleague of mine called it giving yourself permission to write and no blame, no shame draft,
Yep.
right? So just start, get it out there, but then get lots of feedback. And particularly, it was important to me since I'm not, um, I have my own forms of neurodivergence, but I'm not autistic. And so it was important for me to get feedback from fellow autistic people. And so that was part of the process too for me.
Awesome. Well, what advice would you give to somebody who has a story that they've been sitting on for 10 years or an idea they've been sitting on for a while? What advice do you have them about writing their own book?
That's the best advice ever. And give yourself permission for it to be messy and imperfect. And one of our household mantras is what the F is perfect anyway. Hopefully you don't have to edit that out. But yeah, that inner critic can so get in the way.
I agree 100%. All right, it is my favorite part of the interview. Will you please share a part of the book with us?
I will. I'm going to share the beginning because if I impart nothing else, I want everybody who watches to have some sense of what we mean by neurodiversity. So here's the beautiful cover that Katie Kehrer drafted for us of all kinds of brains, autism, and neurodiversity. So look around. Our bodies come in all sizes, colors, and shapes. Legs can be longer or shorter. Skin can be pinkish or brownish. Hair can be curlier or straight or not there at all. Our brains are different too. The name for the differences in our brains is called neurodiversity. Neuro means brain and diversity means differences. Neuro plus diversity equal brain difference. Different brains make us act and feel in different ways. Some brains like to climb and jump, while others prefer a more sedentary stance. Some brains like to beef or pork, while others prefer fruitier fare. Some brains like to wear sparkly red shoes, while others prefer their footwear a little less flashy. Brains can be artistic. Brains can be athletic. Brains can be autistic.
Oh, I love that. I, I absolutely love that. Laura, I have to say thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Any closing words you'd like to leave us with?
Mm, Well, a few words. The one is to sum up the book to me, it's an invitation to think about, reflect, and embrace human differences. And so I hope that invitation resonates with people. And then I also want to thank Disability Book Week for doing this and for highlighting books that feature disability. And so thank you for that.
Awesome. So glad you're here. Thank you.